You ever have one of those days that just does not go well? So I did the lower oil pan and gasket, I don't know, probably, I bought a brand new, I think it's February or Febi or whatever, Febri or Febi, whatever that brand is. Oil pan on it, because this one, they seem to all have dents in them. Everyone I've seen does, and this one was no exception. So I went ahead and put a new oil pan on it, and of course a new gasket. And I didn't put any, put on the gasket dry. I either put it on dry or with Permatex number 3, that brush on aviation stuff. I don't recall. I think I put it on dry, and it's weeped, since then, just enough to be an issue, I guess. And then they had a weird self-threading bolt in one of them. When I pulled it down, that's what was in it. And I don't have all the bracket stuff on, so that's why those nuts are still here. But they had this bolt in one of the holes, and of course that hole was stripped out. So this is, like a repair bolt they put in. So that was on my, need to do list. So I knew I was going to run into that, and was wondering if that thing wasn't holding well, because it didn't feel that great when I put it back in that hole. I didn't have anything to repair it at the time. So in the meantime, I ordered a thread insert, and so pulled it down, repaired that, with a threaded insert, drilled it, tapped it, and then put the insert in with some red Loctite. So repaired that, and I had ordered a new oil pan gasket probably 6 months ago, maybe even longer than that, and it's been sitting on the shelf. Well, when I went to and my thought here was I was just going to put just a thin layer. I thought maybe, this aftermarket oil pan was just not the best. So I'm going to put a thin layer of RTV on the oil pan side, super thin, and, in hopes that would fix my leak, in a new gasket. So went, and I chose Right Stuff, and went ahead and, put a thin coat on the oil pan, went to throw my gasket on there, oil pan gasket. It's the wrong freaking gasket, it's too small. I think it's a non-turbo gasket. I don't know if that was my mess up, or I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure I ordered the gasket on eBay, and, either eBay's, fitment thing was wrong, or they sent me the wrong gasket, or the listing was wrong. Maybe I should go back and look at it and double check. But anyway, it's wrong gasket. So took a look at my old gasket, and of course I was like, well, maybe I can clean up my old gasket and put RTV on both sides of it. So, but it's coated in oil, so I'm like, there's no way RTV is going to stick to that in oil. So I'm holding the gasket and spraying it down with brake cleaner, trying to clean the thing. And I guess that brake cleaner interacted with it, because it just broke. It just broke in half on my hand. So that gasket is no good. I don't have another gasket. Can't get one for several days. This is my only vehicle at the moment, and I am not at home. I am 20 or 15 minutes from home, and I need to drive home. And so what do we do? Well, since I had some Right Stuff, I went ahead and I had put a thin layer on. I went ahead and put, a thicker layer on, and bolted it up. No gasket, just Right Stuff. I really don't want to do that on this thing, but I really have no choice. And so I'm now letting the Right Stuff cure. I've got everything finger tight, and then after an hour, we'll go torque the oil pan bolts down, cross our fingers, and then let it sit. I'll probably let it sit an hour and a half. They say 90 minutes after that. I don't know if that's including the hour that, you know, you let it sit before you torqued it down, but just to be safe, we'll let it cure another 90 minutes, put oil in it, and hope for the best. I guess I should probably go ahead and order an oil pan gasket just in case this does not work well. It may work out great. I don't know. I'm a little worried I didn't put enough right stuff, but I don't want to go crazy on. I'm just one of those ones, one of those guys that I don't want to put too much RTV on stuff, and I'm hoping I put enough on there for it to seal without a gasket. So that's my hope, but I definitely didn't want that stuff squishing out, you know, inside the oil pan and, you know, possibly falling off and getting picked up by plugging up the oil pump screen, or I don't know. I'd rather have it, I guess, seep and me redo it with the gasket than causing issues. So yeah, not a good day. You know, I just wanted to fix an oil leak, and now I may end up having to redo this again. If it doesn't leak, great. You know, maybe that was the right move. I still don't feel crazy about doing it that way, but you know, I guess it is what it is, and I did what I had to do, and I guess it was good I had some right stuff and not, you know, just some RTV that probably wouldn't have held up. You know, this was the best option I had, I guess. So, and of course the right stuff I had, this creeper sucks. The right stuff I had, the nozzle was already plugged up, so it was a used tube. So I had to spread it with my finger, so it's not the prettiest, but there it is in all of its glory. It's not as much squish as I would have hoped, I guess. That's what makes me worry I didn't put enough. There's some areas that have a little more squish, like that's definitely squished out some, but over there is not. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I put the perfect amount, you know, not too much, like right there. I worry I didn't get enough because it's not squished out that much. But, well, I guess we will see. So, y'all let me know your story of something like this that's happened. I should have known better. Before I tore this thing down, I should have looked at my gasket. You know, that was my big screw up here, because if I would have just checked that before I tore it down, knowing that the situation I was in, where, you know, if that gasket was wrong, you know, I'm basically stranded here unless I come up with some other option, and, you know, not having a vehicle to drive. So should have thought about that, and I did. So I should have checked it before I pulled it down. That would have been easy to do. I even have the old oil pan, you know, that I had pulled off of here, so I could have taken that gasket, compared it to the oil pan. If I would have looked at it good enough, I would have known. I should have known. I'll take that over here. This is the gasket I got. It is too small. I think this is a non-turbo gasket. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's my advice to you. Verify your parts before you tear it down. And y'all let me know your stories of stuff like this that's happened, and maybe you had to do something you weren't crazy about to get your vehicle back on the road. I just hope it's not leaking worse than it was, or it's holding up good enough that I can still drive the thing. I guess right now I should go ahead and order a gasket. So, yeah. Anyway. Well, here's your update. And as you can see, I've got cardboard sitting here in my garage. because it's leaking. So I think the front main seal is leaking a little bit on here, but the oil pan itself is leaking, and see where it's kind of wet in the back as well. So I probably didn't put enough stuff on it, and that's most likely the cause of our leak. It probably would have been fine if I would have put some more right stuff on it, but let me show you what I do have. So what I do have now is the correct gasket, and I don't have the old one over here with me to compare, but this one is a larger gasket. It's the correct gasket for this car. So I will tear this thing back down. I mean, it's not that hard to get off. So there's nothing in the way of getting the oil pan off. It's just taking all those Allen bolts off. So it's not that big of a job. And I'll probably take the time to go ahead and adjust the valves. It's getting close to time to being done. So if I'm going to do another oil change, the dripping is getting annoying to me. You know, I'm keeping it something under it to keep it from dripping, but it just makes everything. I just don't like oil leaks. It just makes everything, you go to work on it, it's just all grungy and stuff. So we're gonna revisit this and put a gasket on it. And the oil leak it has now, it is worse than it was prior to me tearing it down. So I did make things worse. So there you go. There's your little update. Let me know down below anything you got a similar story of wrong parts or how your day just did not go well. But that was my day that didn't go well. And like I said, I should have verified before I tore down that I had the correct gasket. That's all on me. And I did go look at the listing. The listing, it's not clear. I don't think I used the parts finder, eBay parts finder thing. It just listed as a 300D, oil pan gasket. I should have thought that, I know that there's a difference in the oil pans. I know that between a turbo and non-turbo, or different years. I just know that I've bought an oil pan at off of a 300D, and I feel like it was a non-turbo, and it was a different oil pan. I did not realize that. I did that early on when I was working on my 300D, not my 300TD, that I bought an oil pan from a junkyard, and it was not the right oil pan. It was the wrong one. It was smaller, and I think that was a non-turbo. So I think that's the difference in the gaskets. I just didn't think about it when I ordered that gasket. Looked up, 300D, OM 300D, whatever, and ordered the wrong gasket. So partly on me, but also a vague listing. But I should have done my due diligence before ordering, and I did not. So I'm the one to blame. So yeah, like I said, let me know down below if you've had similar experiences of tearing something down, having the wrong part, or a defective part. I've had that a lot. You tear something down, put the part in, maybe a special order part, and you get it all back together, and the new part is just as bad as the old part. I like reading those kind of stories. It makes me feel better about myself. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.